Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
Well, looking at the traffic situation and looking at how busy the airports have been, especially the arrival halls, and even going through booking agencies, especially when it comes to hotels, you can see how rates have increased and how things are picking up. And it's amazing to see as well, but also on the other side, maybe for us who are looking for a bit of a cheaper staycation, may be disappointed. Well, there's lots to be optimistic about because hotels in the UAE have seen a huge jump in occupancy levels, at least by 31% during the first half of the year compared to last year. The tourism sector is poised for future growth during the upcoming grand event, the Expo 2020. And according to new data, this is released by the Emirates Tourism Council, was released yesterday. They're saying the UAE's hotel occupancy rate rose to 62% in the first 6 months of 2021, up from 53.6% reported during the same period in 2020. When it comes to revenue as well, about 11.3 billion dirhams during the 6-month period.
That's right. According to the Minister of State for Entrepreneurship and SMEs and the chairman of the council, Ahmed Al-Falasi, he did note that the tourism sector actually was able to achieve outstanding performance rates and also enhance the level of recovery from the impact of the pandemic crisis to stand today and move towards a new stage of growth and development, and that is to further increase its contribution to supporting the national economy. Now, we have seen that the UAE has inoculated more than 80% of the eligible population, according to healthcare authorities. That's what they said back in June. And the country is running one of the fastest inoculation campaigns in the world that has boosted the economic recovery amid the rising numbers of tourists flocking into the UAE. Now, the economy of the neighboring Emirate of Dubai, which is a major tourism and business hub in the Middle East, has also rebounded from the impact of the pandemic. And improvement in travel and retail sectors also boosted the Emirates' non-oil private sector economy last month, in fact. And we've seen some 8.3 million guests flocked to hotels in the UAE during the first half of this year. That's a 15% year-on-year increase, according to the Tourism Council data.
Exactly. And the other great thing as well is the massive increase for domestic tourism. The number of domestic tourists reached 2.3 million during the first half of this year. That's compared to 1.3 million hotel guests last year during the same period. That's an increase of 77% in domestic tourism. And we're looking at the number of initiatives enrolled by the United Arab Emirates to promote tourism as well. They've recently approved the Joint Action Plan, that is the Emirates Tourism Council, in collaboration with the Ministry of Economy and local tourism departments as well. The plan is to increase the inflow of international tourists here and open up new tourism markets to attract visitors from all around the world. And we're also looking at the council adopting a new system at both federal and local levels to allow all Emirates' tourism sectors to benefit from the hosting of the Expo 2020 in the neighboring emirate. That should benefit all of the UAE and allow visitors or siphon in and channel visitors from that to the other emirates as well. Another massive initiative, it was presented by the Federal Authority for Identity and Citizenship, the recently launched 5-year multi-entry tourist visa, which was described as a, quote, major move towards shaping the future of tourism in the UAE. That one is going to be a game changer.
Definitely is. And, of course, we're seeing new developments in other parts of the country, especially when it comes to Hatta also launching some new projects. One of them is very similar to our very own Sahaba Rest House as well. I'm pretty sure with these new developments and new offers emerging from the eastern region, a lot of you have been going over and having a nice little staycation on that area. And one person within our own Pulse 95 team who did venture out with the eastern region was our very own Rania.
I did. Actually, on Friday I went. Okay. And I was lucky enough because I went pretty early.
Very good.
So, yeah, it was a very tactical plan. And I got to go to the 3 locations, the major locations there, the tourist attractions. I went to Shees Park first. I stopped by Shees Park, and then I went to Al Suhub rest house. And then on the way back, I also stopped by Al Rufaisa Dam, and it was an amazing day in Khorfakan. And I'm glad that I got there early, because guess what? If you go there after 4, it's going to be very busy.
Not getting a
very
parking
busy.
spot.
I got there before, thank God.
No crowds at all.
There were, but it wasn't as bad. Especially now, everyone is going to Al Suhub more than the other attractions. Like, for example, Shees Park, it was pretty empty. Almost, not really empty, but like, I went there, I believe I reached Shees Park at around 3, I believe.
Very good.
I stayed there for a good 30 minutes, and then 30-minute drive to Al Suhub, or about so 30 to 40-minute drive. So I got there before 4:34, something like that.
Amazing.
Exactly when I left, that's it, when all the crowds were there.
Yeah, people would come there
and
for the
people were
sunset.
lining up for the cafe that was there. So you have no idea the lines of people that were just waiting to get a table inside. It was
because there's a lot of people who think, oh, it's too hot to go outside, I'll go for the sunset. Well, if you do go for the sunset, that's when you'll face the crowd.
Exactly.
Just turn up on a tactical
and it was
hour.
a weekend. It was a Friday, and they even increased, I believe, the admission
to Suhub?
To Al Suhub, yes. I believe it was 5 dirhams, right?
It used to be 5 dirhams.
Now it's like per hour, it's going to be 10 dirhams.
Okay.
Second hour, I believe, 10 dirhams on a weekday, 20 dirhams on a weekend per hour.
Is that per person, or is that a
per car?
Per vehicle. That's
per
not
vehicle.
Bad,
but then if you go inside and you eat in the cafe there, Fen Cafe, you will get exempt from paying that on the way back.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you go and eat, you're okay.
Get free entry.
Oh, very nice.
You won't have to pay the 20 dirhams or the 10 dirhams.
Ideal. Well, stay with us on the Morning Majlis. More travel advice coming up for you later on in the program. But first, we have the business headlines, and then we'll talk to you about the developments over in Afghanistan. Stay with us. This is the Morning Majlis, only on Pulse 95.
Join the conversation with the Morning Majlis. Pulse 95.
Well, we're very excited for the 10th edition of the International Government Communication Forum that is going to be held on September 26th and 27th under the theme Historic Lessons, Future Ambitions. It's going to be held at Expo Center, Sharjah. So it's a 2-day event. It's organized by the Sharjah Government Media Bureau, and it aims to evaluate the historical experience of government communication, and it will discuss its current realities and also envision its future altogether, in addition to reviewing mechanisms and tools and also changes in public perceptions as well. So in line with that, and ahead of the forum, Jawahar Al-Naqbi, the manager of the International Government Communications Center, has emphasized that a credible communications strategy based on the transparency and trust between governments and the public is vital. And that is vital for the success of government bodies and institutions. And she added that new and emerging communication technologies could actually spur a wave of disinformation that undermines trust and amplifies fears as well.
That's right. And she also spoke on the pillars for successful communication and spoke about the various needs that people have and ways to affect the public, and said that it depends on multiple variables like their demographics, like their needs, their ambitions, and education levels. You have to keep those in mind in order to form a robust communication program. And the Naqbi said that a holistic approach was the way forward, as government communications is something that is complex and deals with many overlapping public issues at the same time.
Yeah, and look, I mean, this is going to be a great event for sure, because this is the day, this is something that we'll all be gearing up for, us as Pulse 95 and the Morning Majlis crew, because it's such an important... it's going to be the first big event since the pandemic, I'd say. I mean, we've had the Sharjah International Book Fair, but an event of this level, of this caliber of guests as well, this is going to be great. And we are looking forward to such an important event ourselves, and looking at a number of key pillars, the 6 pillars that have been highlighted. It's great to see how the entities that will be taking part in it, and people will be learning from the best practices as a whole. And the big story and the big aspect is analysing public opinion, which has been identified as the third pillar, and it's all about ensuring successful communication strategies for the inclusion of specialists and experts in humanitarians and behavioural science.
Yes, and it's all about as well transparent dialogue with civil society institutions, because they did underline, or Al-Naqbi did underline that interaction on social media platforms was inefficient to strengthen the relationship between government entities and the public. So she pointed out that the fourth pillar of effective communication calls for a direct engagement between public entities and civil society institutions that represent diverse community segments as well. So it's very important to establish a strong relationship with civil society institutions in order to activate a successful partnership with the community, as it heightens accessibility and also provides a space for public to share their concerns and feedback as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they'll discuss the ways that government has been communicating during a crisis period and how to do that effectively. We'll certainly be hearing from the experts at IGCF during our time there in September. They will elucidate on how the government has been doing this effectively, and ways to get the public engaged with the message, getting vaccinated, for instance, staying safe and such, the science behind it, and how they managed to get everybody to comply as well. Jawahar Al-Naqbi also called on the private and public sector and those interested in government communications to attend the upcoming edition. So we're talking about the International Government Communication Forum. It's going to be taking place at the Expo Center Sharjah. Save the date, September 26 and 27. We will be there.
Yes, of course. And if you'd like to get some more information about this event in terms of how you can visit it and even have a glimpse into the past events and announcements that have taken place with them, it is the IGCC.ae, so International Government Communications Centre's website, and who are organising this event. So there is lots to take back from this. And do stay with us on the Morning Majlis. We'll keep you posted about the event in greater detail. So far, we've had 303 notable speakers who've taken part in the IGCF. Over 23,000 people have attended the event that has been going on for the last 10 editions. Stay with us on the Morning Majlis. We'll continue the discussions and continue the promotions and celebrating the world of communications with the IGCF. Up next, we celebrate the work of entrepreneurs, because on Saturday was the World Entrepreneurs Day as well. This is the Morning Majlis, only on Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
The Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
Well, apart from stories that shape the headlines, we also talk about certain game changers here on the
yes,
Morning Majlis.
We do.
And, we've seen some game-changing developments here in the Emirates of Sharjah. But apart from that, how about a humanoid, a robot that does the works that you don't want to do?
Yeah, this was announced by Tesla, in fact, during their AI Day event. It's got the whole internet talking. They're working on a humanoid robot. And not a long stretch for Tesla, because they've been automating their factories quite efficiently. They've been working on that self-driving technology. So why not go all the way with that and make an actual humanoid walking robot? They said this thing's going to stand at 5'8" or around 170 centimeters and weigh 125 pounds. Looks like a person. Their face is all blacked out, but it looks like a person, and something pretty eerie and sci-fi-ish about it. But what are they going to be using this for?
So basically, the humanoid model, which would be 5 feet 8 inches tall, it would be able to handle a variety of jobs, basically from lifting heavy objects to mundane household chores. And Netizens actually couldn't pass off the opportunity to poke some fun and share all Terminator jokes and all of that. Like, things also took a hilarious turn at the event as Musk decided to introduce an actor in a bodysuit resembling the bot, who flaunted some killer dancing moves as well. Social media went crazy about it with jokes and memes, people sharing their iRobot jokes to imagine what it would be like to spend time with basically a humanoid robot. So from going to the market to killing insects, people are starting to imagine like hilarious situations in which they might find the Tesla bot and how they can utilize it and use it. But basically Elon Musk said that it will be doing everyday tasks for people who just, they're just like repetitive or boring work that people just don't like to do, even dangerous work as well.
I think it's pretty clever that Elon Musk is doing this. Something tells me this robot's not actually going to really go through. I think it's a bit of trolling that he likes to do.
That's promising.
You know what's so clever about this too is because Tesla's autopilot software has been catching a lot of flack. There was, in fact, a recent story where a Tesla, when its autopilot software crashed into a parked emergency vehicle. So it's almost Tesla's way and Elon Musk's way of saying, hey, forget about that. Look at this instead. We got a person in a suit. They're dancing. It could be a real robot, I promise. Real questions about whether or not this is feasible from a scientific perspective, but I think it's a brilliant bit of PR. It's got people talking about something else instead.
It's not just that. I feel like all the movies that we thought that they were sci-fi or they're fiction, they're apparently they're nonfiction now, because they're all coming to a reality. Like Will Smith, I just mentioned that the iRobot film. So basically, Tesla, they're developing this Tesla bot, and it's expected sometime next year, in fact. Do you think it's going to go through?
No.
You both don't think it's going to go through?
Not at all.
No. The thing about Tesla is, let's say if I went up on stage and I did a TED talk, for example, and said, hey, I'm going to create a robot, people will laugh at me. But if Elon Musk says it, it becomes news. And it's just... He knows that he's going to get that publicity. He knows that whatever he says is going to be the headline, whether it's a reaction on Bitcoin market or whether it is prime-time news outlets such as CNN broadcasting that little discussion where he had and highlighted, exactly what the prototype is going to be. Come on. It's great.
See, it's funny that there's so much buzz around this. Is it because it's Tesla? Because we have to remember, Tesla's not the only automaker or even company to actually produce a humanoid robot. We've seen Honda; they have their Asimo robot. It has been around for decades and it's incredibly advanced as well. We've seen Toyota and GM, General Motors, also have their own robots. So why are we so hyped about Tesla? Is it because it's Tesla, or is it because of this maybe potentially really powerful vision-based supercomputer that will be powering it? I don't know.
Just Tesla.
Just
Elon Musk. Just because he said it becomes news and people talk about it, and we're guilty of it as well. But it just becomes.
This news is entertaining. Let's just say that.
It's just imagining. It's just opening up our imaginations, and it'd be cool to have someone as your little bit of an assistant walks with you and carries
but
stuff.
How much will it cost?
Yeah.
And can anyone get it? Like, who's eligible to buy this?
Well, thankfully we're not gonna talk about that anytime soon, because I don't think it's gonna happen. It was just a man in a spandex suit dancing on stage.
So hopeful, guys. So hopeful.
Exactly. Well, you never know, guys. Do text us in 4215 if you think this is a possibility, and if you think that you might need a robot because of certain chores which you consider as too time-consuming or even dangerous, should you say that. Up next is the world of business headlines, courtesy of Iman Al-Majali. We'll be back again right after that, continuing the discussions here on the Morning Majlis.
Entertainment headlines.
This is
The Buzz.
This is The Buzz. We're talking about Daniel Craig. Now, he's been in the headlines for a reason. He's against passing on his inheritance to his children, apparently.
Apparently. Yeah. Well, that's what he's been saying. He's been saying, and by the way, he's making a lot of money.
He is.
He does the 007 movies, and for the latest one, No Time to Die, is going to come soon. He made a reported $25 million paycheck, and also a reported $100 million paycheck to appear in the sequels to 2019's Knives Out. But he said he's not going to be sharing much of this wealth to his children. In fact, in a magazine interview, he said, or spoke out on his philosophy of inheritance, saying he doesn't plan to have much money left to give to his children by the time he dies. He said, quote, "Isn't there an old adage that if you die a rich person, you failed? I think Andrew Carnegie gave away what in today's money would be $11 billion, which shows how rich he was, because I'll bet he kept some of it too, and said it would be distasteful to leave heirs massive amounts of money." He said he wants to give it away or something along those lines instead.
He did say that my philosophy is to get rid of it or give it away before you go.
Isn't it what Microsoft's chief did it? I completely
The giving
forgot.
pledge. Something along those lines. He did say he pledged to give up all of his fortune
That's
to
true.
charity.
I remember that.
But then it's his charitable organization, and there's no legal term that's binding him to give away his money per se. I think billionaires are pretty cheeky about their charitable organizations and the way they handle those as well, and it's a pretty nice way to dodge taxes in the meantime as well. Which brings us back to Daniel Craig, because there's no way he's not leaving his children a trust fund.
Well, he did say in a note to shareholders that after much observation of super wealthy families, here's my recommendation. Leave the children enough so that they can do anything, but not enough that they can do nothing. And he also did add that his own adult children pursue philanthropic efforts that involve both money and time.
That's a strong statement.
That is.
I'm a big fan of that statement. I think
That's a good one, yeah.
because it is
Leave
right.
the children enough so that they can do anything, but not enough that they can do nothing.
But yeah, it also depends on which philanthropic organization you start to back, because he said that his own adult children pursue philanthropic efforts that involve both money and time. So that is the purpose of it. But yeah, a very interesting move. But I'm sure the wealth advisors might have lots of other ideas to share for Mr. Craig.
Yeah, definitely. And also we'll have to see how this goes in more detail as well. But yeah, it is a popular idea. I mean, as you had said, Bill Gates has said something similar, where he would leave his kids with an X amount, but not the entire inheritance. And we'll also be seeing what kind of charitable work Daniel Craig is going to embark on as well. So, and how that plays into the future. And aren't they going to change the 007? Is that going to be his last time around?
This is going to be his last one.
Yes.
Yeah, there's going to be a new 007 star, and it's going to be great.
Did they announce who was going to be? I remember Idris Elba was in talks about
He
it.
was in talks about it, and I know there was going to be a female 007 star as well. You
yeah.
never
That would
know.
be incredible.
You never know.
I'll advocate for that.
Yeah.
There you go,
Yep.
women empowerment.
Yes.
So one thing that Daniel Craig could do is, well, let me think about what he can do. But meanwhile, as we conclude the show, where can people catch the program?
You could catch the podcast on Spotify, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcast. Just type Morning Majlis in the search bar. We're also on the YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe. That's where we stream our videos live as well. So Pulse 95 Radio, that is the YouTube channel as well.
And we need to reveal the answers for the quiz.
Yeah, we
Majlis
do.
quiz.
Okay, there
Right.
you go. Lots of you have been texting in this morning, and we were asking you which country, where can you find, which city can you find the International Court of Justice in? Text us on 4215. Second question was, what is the only edible food item that does not go bad or stale? That's the second question. And third question was, what country has a unicorn as their national animal? Answer to question number one,
The Hague.
The Hague.
The Hague.
Or Den Haag or The Hague. Answer to question number two.
Honey?
Honey doesn't go bad.
Doesn't go bad at
doesn't
all.
go bad.
Apparently. Number three is
Scotland, right?
Scotland,
Yeah.
because they love their magical
unicorns.
world, and they love the unicorns as well. the sorcery. And that's where Harry Potter was born as well. So, there's always that magic. And the last recommendation for Mr. Daniel Craig to do is maybe pass on some of the fortune to Adele and Billie Eilish for their tunes that have been promoting his character as well as Mr. Craig himself. This is the Morning Majlis, only on Pulse 95, and there's no time to die.
If you liked this episode of the Morning Majlis, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.
Pulse.